Shalom, Kahalo, Yahweh, Shemihal, Shabbat, Shemakakodash, double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us His truth. And Shalom and salutations to all the brothers that push in the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect, Tabernacle of David. I'm the brother Yahshua, back with the WW3 Daily Update. All right, now we're going to start right here at 2nd Ezra 15 and 28. Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, okay, the Arabs, if you will, shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Okay? So this is talking about what's the battlefront or the theater that's in the Middle East called the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Let's look at that real quick. Joel. So this is where the main battle of World War III is going to take place, pursuant to Joel 3 and 2. God says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat. All right. Right here in NLT, I will gather the armies of the world into the Valley of Jehoshaphat. The Valley of Jehoshaphat is in Israel, but it's talking about the greater Middle East. All right. So we'll go back here. All right. So here's the Arabs. Behold, a horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east. This is 2nd Ezra 15, 28, 29, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians. Who are the Carmanians? The Carmanians, or Carmania, if you will, is a city in Persia. Who are the Persians called today? The Iranians. Also, the Iranians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join the battle with them. With who? With the Arabs, and shall waste a portion of the land of Assyrians. Okay, so with that, watch Travis over here at the Prepared Homestead. That's today, May 13th. What does this say? A Carmanian EMP threat. How serious is this? Let's just watch this.
They're producing some good stuff. So today, it's a subject that I'm sure you've already heard. It's very new, only in the last couple of days, but it's really spreading around the internet, at least in our kind of circles. So I'm assuming that you've probably already heard about this. And it is this out of nowhere blindsided, well, maybe not so blindsided, EMP threat from Iran. Glenn Beck has covered it. My buddy over at Pinball Preparedness, he did a really good video on it earlier today. I would encourage you to go watch his video because he probably has more detail in it than I do. But I did find something that I want to share with you on that. So if you're not aware of what's going on, let me catch you up. So April 30th, April 30th, a report which is just a few days ago, really, a couple weeks. A report was released from the EMP task force, which is part of Homeland Security, and intelligence indicates that Iran has a very credible, real, immediate intentions to detonate 2, 3, something like that, high altitude electromagnetic pulse weapons, which is, in other words, nukes into our atmosphere on the east and west coast, enough to knock out our electric grid.
What did he just say? I thought Iran didn't have no nukes. Iran has nukes, and they're coming to America like Eddie Murphy?
Now, a lot of you are saying, well, wait a minute. Iran doesn't have nukes, do they? Well, we'll get into that here in a little bit. Officially, they don't. But there's certainly intelligence going all the way back to 2003 indicating that they do have them, and they've had them for that long. But even if they don't have them, someone else does. And
Russia.
before I go any further, I just want to pause right here and I want you to answer this question. Of all the countries on this planet, what are the top countries that really hate us?
Okay, so if the U.S. and all these other countries can send weapons to the Ukraine to fight against the Russians, the Russians can't give nukes or missiles to their allies to fight against anyone that they want to. People better wake up.
They hate us. Not hate us because they want to produce more than we do, or they want to make more money than we do, or they're jealous of us. But I'm talking about nations that if they had the power, they would completely wipe us off the face of this earth. They absolutely hate us, and they let it be known. They say it all the time. Well, in my opinion, those two countries are North Korea and Iran. They're very, very open about telling everyone how much they hate America. In fact, there's constant protests in Iran chanting death to America. Kim Jong Un is always talking about how he's going to destroy us. Well, they have nuclear weapons, at least 30 to 40 that we know of, which probably means that they have at least twice that many because they're so secretive. And so the intelligence indicates that Iran is trying to procure at least 2 or 3 nukes from North Korea, and they don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles, but they do have really good missiles, medium range missiles, and the belief is that they will place them on some type of cargo ship and get those cargo ships off the east and the west coast and shoot them up into the air and detonate them.
Now, would they really have to do that when America will actually detonate one of their nukes on America and say that the Carmanians did it? You understand what's really going on in the world. That's a more plausible scenario. Right? What happened in 911? Who brought those buildings down and who was blamed for it? Certainly not the Saudis that were on the supposed airplanes. They went straight to Iraq and Afghanistan, not to Saudi, where the Saudi nationals who were supposedly on those airplanes, right? They didn't go to Saudi Arabia. The buildings came down, they went straight to Iraq. They went straight to Afghanistan. They didn't go to Saudi Arabia. All right? Go look at your history.
And at the right altitude, these don't even have to be really big ones. And North Korea has big ones. You know, they have 50 kiloton, or is it 50 kiloton? They have some pretty good size nukes, but they don't even have to be really, really big ones. Because how an EMP works, it's not necessarily the blast, it's the altitude. And it can go horizon to horizon. And if they do that, it could completely knock out our electric grid. Now, the report indicates that this could be happening in days or weeks. We're not talking months or years down the road that they have plans. The report says that the intelligence shows that they're wanting this to happen in days.
Okay, so what does it mean? How do you read between the lines? Okay. Here's what you're hearing. Okay. Iran is the target of the United States. U.S. wants to go bomb Iran. For who? For Israel, of course. Okay, so what do? They put out this propaganda, right? Rumor of war that somehow they're going to come over here with their nukes, which they don't have or do or whatever, and they're going to what? Why would? Okay, what sense does this make? Well, you're going to put some nukes on a barge and creep all the way up on America and not blow America up, but you're going to just shut down the power. Come on now. Come on. No. Who's going to shut the power down? America's going to shut the power down. They have their own purposes for doing that. They're going to blame it on Iran and then go strike Iran or anybody else that they will. They don't even have to strike Iran. They can go strike anybody, just like they brought the buildings down in New York and went and pointed at Saddam, who had nothing to do with it. Oh, well, we got a war on terror. We got to go take down Saddam, take his oil and his money, and string him up. All right? Hey, don't be fooled.
Okay, in the next few weeks. This is big deal. If this were to happen, let's just play it out. If this were to happen, it would completely knock us back to the Stone Age. There would be.
Wouldn't a couple of nukes on American soil, wouldn't that knock us back to the Stone Age? Come on. And if you could get a couple of nukes, you could get a few. Right? Come on. Story ain't adding up.
There would be some hardened places in the United States, mostly military. But even that, from all the research that I've done, and I've watched some videos and read some articles from people that are way more knowledgeable than me, and they're all saying that the U.S. military's hardened, equipment is based on 1960s and 1970s, and these new, more powerful nukes will take that out too. We have not done a good job. And as far as our regular grid, it's not hardened at all, folks. And there's a lot of debate on, if modern cars will be affected or not, and all this kind of stuff. The fact is that our grid would fry, microchips and computer chips and all that would fry, and we have no way to replenish that because it would knock out our factories and our ability to make new stuff. A few years back, the CDC, along with the Homeland Security Department, did a study, and they estimated in the first year, 90% of the American population would be dead if there was an EMP. This threat has been going on. I mean, there's a reason why we have an EMP task force. I mean, because it's a real legitimate threat. Now, is this going to happen?
Yeah. Probably not when they want to put a chip in everybody's hand to control them. If an EMP is going to destroy that process, then I don't think so.
Do I believe it's going to happen? I don't know. From my research, they have been talking about this at least since 2015. There was talk back then of the worry of allowing Iran to have nuclear weapon capabilities because they believed that this is what Iran wants to do because it's in their documents. They're like military training manuals and stuff. They go through talking about Iran detonating an EMP over the United States. And I've said for years, that is the perfect weapon of war. If you just want to defeat us economically, if you want to rule over us, all that kind of stuff, there's other ways. But if you want to destroy us, I mean, completely wipe us off the face of the planet, an EMP is the one to do it. And it's super easy. You don't have to be accurate. They don't have to have the fancy guiding systems or anything. It just needs to hit a certain altitude and detonate, and it's done. We won't have to worry about, any of us getting fried and any of us, vaporizing in the blast. It doesn't work that way. It actually detonates at very high altitude, creating this electromagnetic pulse that fries everything, okay? This is a big deal. And this report indicates that Iran is working on that they've been working on it for a while, and they're getting close to implementing their plan. If they haven't already implemented it, that's even the indication that there's a possibility that they're already implementing this plan and that the intelligence community has failed us on this.
There's a possibility that we're being fed a lot of bullshit and it's going the other way. All right, so if you want to finish watching this, I'm not going to do the whole thing. Prepared homestead, May 13th today, Iranian EMP threat. All right, so just a little news. I'm going to get this on the way out. This is Sirach 12. All right. 12 and 10. Never. That word never. Never trust who? Thine enemy. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Hey, guess what? The U.S. government, you Americans, okay, got it? So with that, there's your update for today. We'll see you next week, Monday. We hope that the elect were edified, you brothers and few sisters. And with that, we're going to say shalom.